Hello, hello. So, holy crap, it got good. There's a lot going on. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been about 3 weeks now, I think, since I last picked up the camera, which is a little bit crazy to me. It feels like a lot longer, to be honest. I feel like I've been away for ages, but yeah. I just needed a bit of a break. I was having a reading slump, life slump, mental health slump, everything. I just need a little bit of a break, but I am back now and I am better than ever. And I'm really excited to be filming a video for you guys today. So since it's been a while, I thought I would start by filming my favourite thing to film, which is a reading vlog. And I am really excited about the one that I'm bringing to you guys today. I was actually watching one of Hailey Hughes' videos last night. And of course, she is like the thriller queen. And whenever I watch her videos, I just get in the biggest thriller mood. And that's exactly what happened. So today I decided I'm going to do a reading vlog, reading 2 thriller arcs that I've been sent by publishing companies. Both of these I believe are already out now. I have totally missed the mark on them, but I am really excited to read them nevertheless and give my thoughts on them. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to read 2 thriller arcs over the next couple of days, have all the thriller feels and just have a great time. So the 2 books that I have here are The Secret Life of Writers by Guillame Musso and also The Colours of Death by Patricia Marques. And first of all, can we just appreciate how beautiful both of these covers are? So yeah, I think these are both very different types of thrillers. This one is very much a realistic life thriller. This one I think has a bit of a sci-fi element to it, which is quite interesting. I don't think I've ever read a thriller like that before. I am super excited to read both of them, but the one that has been calling out to me most recently is The Secret Life of Writers, so I think I'm going to start with this one. Since I first talked about this book, I have learned that Guillame Musso is actually a very prominent French author, which I did not know. I'd actually had someone comment on one of my videos when I was talking about this book saying how famous he is and how much she adores his books. So I'm really excited to read this and see my thoughts on his style of writing. One of the great thriller writers of our age. So fingers crossed I'm going to love this one. So this one says, in 1999, after publishing 3 cult novels, celebrated author Nathan Falls announces the end of his writing career and withdraws to Beaumont, a wild and beautiful island off the Mediterranean coast. Autumn 2018, as Falls' novels continue to captivate readers, Mathilde Monet, a young Swiss journalist, arrives on the island, determined to unlock the writer's secrets and secure his first interview in almost 20 years. Then, a woman's body is discovered on the beach and the island is cordoned off by the authorities. And so begins a dangerous face-off between Matilda and Nathan, in which the line between truth and fiction becomes increasingly blurred. So this one sounds very exciting. I like the idea of it being an author, so sort of storytelling is going to come into this as well, which is something I always enjoy in books. This one was sent to me by Orion Books, and I was so excited about getting it, so I cannot wait to read it, hopefully today. This one was actually published on the 22nd of July, so it's been out for like a month now, so I suppose that's not too long. It could be worse. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and read this one first of all. It is dull and dreary outside, which is perfect thriller reading weather. So yeah, I'm feeling cozy in my nice oversized sweatshirt. I'm gonna get nice and comfy on this sofa and settle in for the next few hours hopefully and just get lost in this book. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not entirely sure who I'm following right now, and I'm only 24 pages into the book, but there was something I had to comment on. Basically, we are following a guy, it seems, who wants to be a writer, and his manuscript has been rejected by like tons of publishing companies so far that he sent it to, and he is obsessed with this writer Nathan Falls that has obviously gone off to this remote island that keeps to itself. It's a very sort of elitist island almost, like it's described as only certain people are allowed to move there, and when they're there they very much keep to themselves, or like a little isolated little community, and they keep the population to a certain number. And yeah, it's all very sort of elitist and secretive and weird. And kind of snobby. But this guy obviously is like obsessed with Nathan Falls, the author, and he sees a job opportunity in a bookshop on the island, so he applies to that, and he's just come over to the island to take up this job, hopefully meet Nathan Falls and get some advice on what he can do to his manuscript to hopefully get it published. But basically he's just met the guy who owns the bookshop, who is bit of a like book snob, and I just thought this bit was really interesting because it's kind of how I feel about the book world a lot of the time. Even just like book Twitter, booktube, people seem to sort of have this idea of what a book is and what the good books are and what the bad books are. But basically the bookseller says people don't read anymore, and I'm not talking about frothier stuff, I'm talking about real literature. And the guy that's narrating is like, there was always a moment of people like him when this expression, or another one, real writer, came up for debate yet again. Well, I had never let anyone tell me what I ought to read or not, and setting yourself up as a judge like this to decide what was or wasn't literature felt like pretension of the highest possible order. I just love that because it's exactly how I feel sometimes. Like obviously there are always going to be people who feel like the classics or like more highbrow books are real literature, and then anything else you read that's maybe like a bit more fluffy and doesn't have like a huge point to it or whatever, it doesn't count as like a real book, it doesn't count as real reading. And I will just never agree with that. I agree with this guy. I will never let anyone tell me what I ought to read or not. I will read what I want, I will enjoy what I want, and I will enjoy each book for different reasons, and I think that is the beauty of reading. So yeah, just wanted to comment on that, and now I'm going to go back to the book. Okay, so I'm now on page 82 of this book, and it is fair to say I am intrigued. We are basically following three characters. So we've got the guy from the start that I mentioned, the author or aspiring author, Raphael, who has moved to the island, who wanted to get some advice from Nathan Falls about writing his book, and now he's basically just living on the island, working in the bookshop and working on his writing. And from him we get sort of information about what's going on the island, what the sort of feelings are of all the different people living on the island, how the island works, all that jazz. Then we have Nathan Falls, the author, who has moved here, who is a bit of a recluse. From what we've heard from other people on the island, he does sort of like come out a bit and talk to people. He's a nice guy, but if you start to talk about his writing, the fact that he's an author at all, he just shuts down. He lives in his villa on the edge of the island with his dog Bronco, and if anyone tries to come onto his property, he shoots at them with a real gun. As Raphael learned when he tried to come onto the property, which, to be fair, what makes you think you can just go onto someone's property just because they're an author? So, you know, I kind of see where he's coming from. And then thirdly, we have Matilda, who is a Swiss journalist, a young woman who's come to the island, and she, from what we can gather so far, is here to find out Nathan's secret, because no one knows why it is that he stopped writing, why he moved to this island, and why he became such a recluse. Because in his interviews beforehand, he had always seemed like he loved writing, he loved reading, he was a very passionate guy, and then in the last couple of interviews before he retreated from society, he was very blunt and very sort of against writing and against the fame that surrounds it, and very sort of like against the whole book world and how it works. So everyone believes there is a reason that he did this. There's a reason that he left society and went off and lived to live by himself and became sort of more of like a hermit of a man and quite an angry man. So Matilda seems to be here to find out what that secret is, and she has arrived and she has inserted herself into Nathan's life already, and she reveals that they have like a history, because one of his most famous books, Lorelei Strange I believe it's called, was about a young woman in a mental institution, and her and all the other characters within it and like their sort of way of life. And this young woman, Matilda, was also in an institution when she was younger and read that book. It really resonated with her, and Nathan came to visit the institution she was in and sort of like sign books and things. But he feels that there is like more to this. There seems to be like a darker part to their history. He is trying to get in contact with people from the past to find out who this young woman is. She is showing up all the time. All of their conversations are really interesting because it's like this constant battle between the two of her trying to like push to get him to open up and him trying to keep things very like surface level. So the whole dialogue is very interesting. On top of all this, we have a young woman who has been found on the coast of the island who has died for a couple of weeks, we think, who's been frozen, and then in the last couple of days was nailed to a very important tree on the island. And because of that, obviously there's a huge investigation being put out, and also all travel to and from the island has been stopped. So the island is now like completely isolated. The killer is on this island, we know that, but we don't know who it is. So there's also that aspect of us trying to find out who did that, and I'm assuming everything is going to be connected in some way, but right now I have no idea how. Right now it is very secretive, very mysterious, but very, very intriguing. I need to know what's going to happen. I have flown through those first 80 pages, and the book's only like 250 pages altogether, so I do think I'm going to be finishing this today at some point, probably in the not too far off future. Yeah, really enjoying it, really looking forward to seeing how it goes. I've seen little comments that say that it does have a twist, so I'm hoping it's going to be a good one, because we all know I love a good twist in a thriller. It is starting to look like it's getting a bit warmer outside, so I'm tempted to go sit outside and read in the fresh air. But I'm also enjoying being cozy in here with my rainy ASMR room while I read my thriller. I'm not sure what vibe I want to go for right now. We'll see. But basically, really enjoying this, going to continue with it, and I will let you know more thoughts soon. Hi guys, so it's quite a bit later now, but I did earlier on manage to reach the halfway mark of The Secret Life of Writers. I'm on page 137. This is only like 260, 270 pages long, so it's not too much of a long one. So yeah, I'm at the halfway mark and I'm still really enjoying this one. I'm really intrigued. It is very different to the types of thrillers that I usually read. I usually read the more sort of like fast-paced, tense, gritty thrillers that have you on the edge of your seat. This one's not so much like that. I think it's more, it's not so much it's a slower read. The thing that's keeping you intrigued is these secrets, this very sort of like secretive aspect. The things that you don't know that you want to know, and there's lots of different stories now sort of being intertwined and you don't really know who you can trust. So it's got those sort of aspects of a thriller, but it's done in a very different way to what I'm used to the types of thrillers I usually read. So it's taken a bit of getting used to, but I am really enjoying it. I just don't know if I'm enjoying it as much as I would my usual kind of thriller, so I guess that is just down to taste. That's it at the end of the day. But there is more and more little things coming out that I want to know more about. We still don't know what Nathan's secret is about why he stopped writing. We don't know about this young woman, how she knows him, but she does seem to know about other things, and there's some weird connections there. And then of course we've got Raphael and his whole story, because he is now very intrigued by this death on the island, and he's doing his own bits of digging and trying to write a book out of it, which I think might be this book. I think that's maybe going to be part of the twist, because when he sat down to start his book, we saw the first paragraph that he wrote, and the first paragraph he wrote was the first paragraph of this book. So I don't know if there's going to be some sort of suggestion at the end, like how much of this is fictional and how much of it is real. I don't know if that's where we're going with this, but I'm intrigued to find out. But yeah, it's like 9 o'clock at night right now. I am just chilling in bed. I'm going to take my makeup off, which I'm pretty sure is melting off at this point anyway. I'm going to get cozy in bed, and I think I'm going to try and read a little bit more. Don't know if I'll be updating you again tonight or if it'll be tomorrow, but I will speak to you at some point. Hi guys, so changed since the last time we spoke. Obviously, last night I was talking to you about The Secret Life of Writers. I was halfway through and I was saying it was quite a slow read, or slower to the sort of fillers that I am used to. However, we hit the halfway mark. I sat down to read last night and I had to eat every word I just said because holy crap, it got good. I started reading this book feeling really sleepy, thinking, oh, I'll probably end up reading like 20 pages and then I'll go to bed. No, like I could not put this down. I was wide awake, needed to know what was happening next. Literally from the halfway mark, everything changed. It got so fast paced, so tense, so dark. All of this new information was coming to light, all of these twists and turns. The twists, so good. Everything was coming out. I audibly gasped, I think, about 5 times throughout this because they just kept chucking things at us that I did not see coming. And honestly, so good. So good. I couldn't put it down. However, I did decide it was time to go to bed, so I've left about 50 pages for this morning. I'm going to sit with my cup of coffee, my morning coffee just now, and I'm going to finish off this book. And I'm really, really hoping the last 50 pages live up to the 100 pages I just read, because so good, so good. I don't know how it's all going to wrap up, but I'm excited to find out. My brain is fried. Oh, wow. Wow. So I just finished The Secret Life of Writers. Wow, it's all I can say. This book is unlike anything I have ever read before. I love books that are about books, or books that are about storytelling, and they sort of like weave that into the story and they become very self-aware and sort of discuss techniques and things that they are using within the actual book. This one is probably the best one I have ever read in that respect. It absolutely blows your mind. By the end, I literally just had to sit there for like a good 10 minutes, stare into space and try to make sense of what I had just read, because honestly, this man, genius. I don't know how he did it. Obviously from the start I did say it was a book about writing and about storytelling, but it goes way beyond that by the end of the book. Like obviously it is a very good thriller in its own right, the actual story of the thriller part, but it's more about the storytelling aspect and the ways that fiction and reality can become, like the line between fiction and reality can become blurred, or that reality can be used in order to write fiction. That whole thing, my brain hurts from trying to, like the last 50 pages of this book, I think I had about 3 what the fuck moments. Like I just sat there like, what? My brain was just hurting, but in the best way. Like I feel like I need to read it again to try and like see how this was done throughout, because the ending just absolutely blows your mind. I can't get over it. This is one I'm going to be thinking about for a long time. By the end of the book, you've literally got like 4 layers of like Inception, but rather than dreams, it's books and stories. Literary Inception. It's mind blown. 4 stars, 4 out of 5 stars. Didn't quite hit the 5-star mark, but I'm trying to be more picky with my 5 stars because I see all these people putting up videos of the only books I've given 5 stars to, and that video for me would be about an hour long because I give out a lot of 5 stars. So I'm going to try and be a little bit more picky in future. This one, 4 out of 5 stars, amazing. You need to read it and you need to tell me what you think, because mind blown. So now I need to get the book. Now, all I want to do is read. I've got that such like big reading feeling back because I enjoyed that so much. And I think as well, when books talk about books and talk about reading and writing, it gets me more like in my reading zone. Don't know if that makes sense, but it does to me. So next I'm going on to The Colours of Death by Patricia Marques, which is another thriller, but it's a very different kind of thriller. This one I believe has, like I said before, sort of sci-fi aspect to it. So it says the murder. Oh, it's gonna, I don't know how to pronounce that. We're gonna give it a go. The murder. In the Gare d'Oriente, a body sits slumped in a stationary train. A high-profile man appears to have died by throwing himself repeatedly against the glass, but according to witnesses, he may not have done this of his own accord. The city. Lisbon 2021. A small percentage of the population are diagnosed as gifted. Along with the power comes stigma and suspicion. The detective. In a prejudiced city, gifted Inspector Isabel Reese is hiding her own secrets while putting her life on the line to stop an ingenious killer. A killer who has only just begun. So, it is a thriller, it is a crime murder type thriller with a detective, but there is a gifted people in there. It says a brutal murder, a gifted detective, a city on the edge. So it sounds very good. It sounds like it's going to be very different to the one that I just read. It is a bit longer. I think this one's like closer to like 350 pages. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm intrigued by this one. It sounds like it's going to be very different to any of the thrillers that I usually read. So hopefully I enjoy it. This one actually came out on the 17th of June. So I'm very late to the party. But we're going to read it now. I think I'm going to take a little break just now because my mind is still like going about 1,000 miles a minute. Probably get ready for the day, have some breakfast, all that good stuff, and then we'll dive into The Colours of Death. Hi guys, please excuse my face and chest right now. I have just been out in the garden soaking up this very random September heatwave in Scotland while I'm reading, and I have gotten a little bit pink, but it's fine. It has been a few days since we last spoke, but I have been making some progress with The Colours of Death. I am 100 pages through just now, so nearly a third of the way through. I think it's about 360 pages altogether. So I've read the first 100 pages and I am really enjoying this one. It is a very different thriller to anything I have read before because it's got this sort of like fantasy sci-fi aspect to it. So we're basically following Isabel, who is an inspector in Lisbon, and she is a gifted, and basically if you're gifted you either have the power of telekinesis, so you can move things, or telepathy, so you can read people's thoughts and memories. She is a telepath, so she can read people's thoughts and memories, which does come in handy in her job, but it also is an issue as well. You can be anything from a level 1 to a level 10 in your power or your gift. We don't actually know what she is, but I'm assuming it's something quite high because she has to take pills to subdue her power, because if she's walking out and about around people, all of these thoughts just flood into her brain and she can't really focus on anything else, and it's very difficult for her to sort of like regulate that. So she's taking these pills that are being prescribed to her to sort of like subdue her gift, but unfortunately those pills are giving her horrendous headaches at the moment, so she's looking at getting retested and possibly changing her dosage or getting a different pill. So basically she is an inspector. At the very beginning of the novel there is a death on a train where a man supposedly starts throwing himself into the window of the train and dies, but there are witnesses who have seen it who said it didn't look like he was doing it to himself. It looked like he was terrified of what was going on, and there was even someone who tried to pull him away from the window and he felt like something was pulling the guy back. So they think it might be a gifted that has murdered this man. The man that has been murdered was one of the heads of the National Testing Institute, who tests people with gifts. They test them before their gift to see if they have a gift, what level they are, and then there's rumours that there's maybe like sort of more like experimentation and things going on there as well. We don't know why he's been murdered, but obviously it is very intriguing. Also, there's this whole sort of like discrimination within this world where there is a huge faction of people who just are completely against gifted. There is a whole political party that have this huge agenda to sort of like eradicate the gifted. They've got all that going on, and then a gifted has possibly committed a murder on someone that is quite prominent in society. And then obviously the inspector herself is gifted, so yeah. It's all very tense, but it's all very interesting. Like I said, I'm 100 pages in, and like I think it's written very well because as we go we're learning more about this world and about how things work and about who the gifted are and how people relate to them, how their powers work. It's all sort of coming in dribs and drabs. It's very well paced in my opinion, while also we've got that thriller aspect of just the inspectors working on the case. So Inspector Isabel has just got a new partner. She usually works on her own, but she has got a new partner who is not gifted. He has a history where he actually testified against a previous partner who was gifted, so she doesn't know if he is against gifted or not, so she's got that to work with. There's a lot going on, but it's all very, very intriguing. I've just sat and read like the first 100 pages all in one go because I am so hooked, and right now I think I'm going to go back outside and read more because I really want to know what is going on with this book. Really enjoying it. Very different to anything that I've read before or recently, and obviously it is a new author for me as well, so I might have to have a little look into her and see what other books she has got out. It's just a very original concept and a very original idea, because obviously you have these ideas of like gifted and things before, but usually when I've read about that it's been in like fantasy, YA fantasy, not in like a thriller crime genre. So yeah, it's just really interesting to see those two mixed together, and I am very much enjoying it. So I'm gonna go back downstairs just now out into the sun, and I will read some more of this and let you know when I have some more thoughts. Hello. So it has been a few days since we last spoke. I have been doing a lot of reading, particularly yesterday, and I have managed to finish The Colours of Death by Patricia Marques. Guys, I love this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Totally surprised me. Like I think I said before, obviously we know I'm a huge thriller reader, but I've never read a thriller with a sci-fi aspect to it before, and I absolutely love this. This is the sort of thing that I feel like in movies is like my favourite type of thing to watch, so it was really nice to read it. I'm absolutely shocked that this is Patricia Marques' debut novel because it is so well written, the plot is so well detailed, it's paced well, keeps you guessing the whole way through. Like the actual crime thriller part of the novel is just great in its own right. I had no idea who was the murderer. I was kept guessing right up until the end, which is the best thing about a crime thriller. But then the sci-fi aspect to it with the gifts and everything was great. The sort of political nature of that, and obviously this prejudice against the gifted was really interesting to read about. And then Isabel herself, the main character, is just a really interesting and complex character, and it was so... One of my favourite things about the novel was watching her grow throughout and watching her gift grow and watching her understand the repercussions of that and obviously how that was going to impact on their case. And just her as a character, she's just a very interesting character. We learn more about her past and about herself as we go. And the very end suggests that this may be the first installment in a series. So I am very excited. I did not know that. Obviously, if it is the case, it's going to be like a crime thriller series following the same Inspector Isabel Reese. So at the end, the actual case that is focused on in this is wrapped up and you get all the answers to that. But there are other things about the story about Isabel and her partner, little seeds that have been planted throughout the novel that we didn't get all of the answers to. And there's actually sort of like a big cliffhanger at the end about Isabel herself. So I'm hoping we're going to get a second installment for this very soon, and it'll be like a new case, but we'll learn more about Isabel and her partner Voronov, or Alex. Their little relationship, how that's been going throughout the novel, has been really interesting as well. It suggests there may be potential for romance there. I don't know, we shall see, but I'm really loving it. I really loved watching them grow like as partners and watching them learn to trust each other and learn more about each other. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this one. 4 out of 5 stars. Really hoping for a second installment very soon. If you watched my last video, you will also know that I have made the very last minute spontaneous decision to take part in the magical readathon hosted by G from Book Roast. I am so excited. This one actually covers my first prompt on the novice path, which is the novice path entrance to read a book with a map. And this one, as you can see, has a map at the beginning just detailing where like the murders are taking place, where Isabel's flat is and things like that, I think. Just basically a map of Lisbon and where various important parts are of the novel. So I can officially tick a prompt off of my novice path TBR. Only really have to complete another one in order to secure my spot in the readathon. You basically only have to complete 2 out of a possible 7, I believe, but I have given myself options for all 7 and I hope to read a good few of them. But it is good to have one ticked off already, and I'll be moving on to the next ones next week. So that is it for this reading vlog. I really hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you did enjoy it, then do please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe for more bookish content from me. Comment down below with any of your thoughts and feelings. I do reply to every single comment. I love you all, and I will see you in my next one.